So they're not getting any younger. This San Fran team, like I said, only has a couple of young, good players. Like you got Nick Bosa, who's young, obviously. Christian McCaffrey is a good age. I think he's now 28. But this 49ers team, it concerns me because they couldn't win with this team, and I don't see a world where they can actually afford to get better next year. Yes, they'll have the draft, but they pick at 31, and that's not saying that they can't get a great player in the draft. The 49ers are phenomenal at drafting, but in the free agency, they aren't going to have cap space to bring in someone really big. Speaking of free agents, they aren't going to be able to sign any of them, but in their defense, they don't really have many big free agents. I know that Chase Young's a free agent. He's going to walk. They have Juwan Jennings. He did decent this season. But they're free agents. I don't see how they're going to be able to bring them back. The 49ers, their cap space isn't terrible, but you don't want to keep on just pushing back all these older players' contracts. I remember Atlanta did that when they had Thomas Dimitroff for that 3-year season with Dan Quinn to keep on thinking, oh, as long as we get our guys healthy, let's keep on pushing back these contracts, signing some guys in free agency, and then we were in cap hell for 2 years and had to blow it up. Look at the Saints. They keep on pushing back all their contract extensions, and now they're in cap hell because of it. You don't want to continuously have to push back your cap savings. I'm not saying the 49ers cap is terrible. I'm not saying it's terrible, but it's not ideal either. And there's one big thing that I have yet to talk about when it comes to the 49ers cap, and it's this guy right here, Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was on the second year of his deal, and he's only making $1 million. You will have 2 more years of him making $1 million, and then you are screwed. If you really think Brock Purdy is going to take a pay cut, you are dead wrong. Purdy almost won MVP this year. Purdy took his team to the Super Bowl. Purdy's getting 40+ million. That might even be an understatement, but he's had to live in San Francisco with $1 million salary. Dude can't even afford to live there on his salary. He lives in an apartment with friends. Do you really think he's going to be fine taking a pay cut, watching all these other 49ers players just making massive, massive amounts of money? And if the 49ers aren't going to give him what he wants, I can see him walking. Now, maybe Purdy will sign a $30 million deal. You know what? Maybe he will take a bit of a pay cut. $1 million to $30 million is still a lot of cap. And with, like I said, if Brandon Ayuk, if he is a trade casualty, you get a first-round pick for him, sign a rookie wide receiver. There's no promise that rookie wide receiver will be better. Deebo Samuel, older. George Kittle, older. Christian McCaffrey, he's a running back, and even though he dominated this year, how many more years does Christian McCaffrey really have left in the tank? He's a running back. He also has a history of injury concerns, and I'm not saying he is going to get injured, but Christian McCaffrey doesn't have all the time in the world either. So the 49ers right now have 2 more years of okay cap, and then they have to sign Purdy. The only reason their cap is okay is because their quarterback is only making $1 million a year. The 49ers have a lot of questions too, and that's not to mention that their offensive line isn't even the best in the world. I think also Javon Kinlaw is a free agent too, and he's a decent D tackle. So I don't think the 49ers are going to improve. What free agent are they going to be able to sign? And if they do want to sign a big time free agent, that also doesn't always work. Look at what the Eagles tried to do. The Eagles tried to buy their way to a Super Bowl, and their team sucked this year. They traded for everybody. They tried to get all these veterans to come in and help the team. That didn't work. Most of the time it doesn't work out. Now the 49ers drafted a lot of these players. They did trade for McCaffrey, but all these other guys they drafted and developed. But right now they don't really have any young drafted guys who are developing and coming up in their ranks. There's Purdy. Maybe I'm missing someone, but no one big enough to, really make a change for them. Maybe a corner that I'm missing. 49ers, the cap is okay, but I don't see their team improving. And with this team, they just proved that they couldn't win a Super Bowl, and they almost lost to the Lions and the Packers, only won by 3 points at home, and got smoked by the Ravens. 2 years ago, they got smoked by the Eagles, and I understand they didn't have Brock Purdy. So that goes to show how bad they are without their quarterback. Do you think that means they're going to want to sign Purdy to a big contract? If they do, where are they going to get that money to do that? I don't know. It's very interesting to see, is the 49ers Super Bowl window closed? I think next year, I don't think it is just yet. But honestly, next year might be their last year. And if next year they don't get it done, then the 49ers might be in trouble and might need to shift away. Because now if we look at their 2025 season, they only have $25 million cap and only 35 guys. Trent Williams' contract only gets bigger, but you can get rid of it. Debo, look at all these guys who you might have to get rid of to save some cap. Look at all these guys who you might have to trade away and say, you know what, we might need to start fresh. If the 49ers don't win it in the 2024 season, 2025, they might need to trade away some guys, unless they think that they can win it back with 2025 too. But then after that, then you have to sign Purdy. So I honestly think this next year, this 2024 season, is the final year of San Francisco's Super Bowl window. Maybe 2025, maybe 2025. We'll have to obviously see how this season goes. But this up and coming season might very well be the 49ers' very last opportunity at winning a Super Bowl. But then that leads me to the second part of this video. The second part of the video is, can Kyle Shanahan coach a team to a Super Bowl? Now, Kyle Shanahan is a great head coach. I'm not questioning that. He has, I think, I looked it up, a 72-54 record, something like that, has to lead the 49ers to 2 Super Bowls and 2 NFC championship games. I guess technically 4 NFC championship games in his 7 years there. I'm not doubting Kyle Shanahan's ability to get the team to the playoffs. However, Kyle Shanahan has some big flaws, and his strengths are good enough to get his team to the playoffs. But are his flaws good enough to get his team to win a Super Bowl? Right now, I don't think so. Kyle Shanahan has not proven to me that he can. Let's start with this big stat right here that I'm pulling up, and it's that in the fourth quarter, when trailing by 3 or more points, Kyle Shanahan is 1-31. His one win was against the Packers this year. Then, when his team is trailing by 8+ points going into the fourth, he is 0-37. Kyle Shanahan does not have the ability to lead a comeback in the fourth quarter. He never has. Which shows that Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers, their whole thing is getting up early and continuing to apply pressure. Usually that works. Except in the Super Bowl, where now in his 3 Super Bowls, when he was the offensive coordinator for the Falcons and the head coach of the 49ers now twice, he's had a 10-point lead and lost all 3 games. And I've seen people say, oh, well, a 10-point lead is nothing in the NFL. A 10-point lead is absolutely nothing. Any team can overcome a 10-point lead. Really, except Kyle Shanahan, he can't even overcome a 3-point lead in the fourth quarter. So a 10-point lead is nothing in the NFL nowadays, and scoring is really easy for teams. However, Kyle Shanahan can't do it. Why can't Kyle Shanahan overcome a deficit in the fourth quarter? And I think it's his game plan and it's his game style. He, like I said, he loves to pound a team hard and fast when he comes out offensively. Look at this Chiefs game. They scored 10 points almost right away. And if it wasn't for that Christian McCaffrey fumble, they could have scored 17 points right away. But then, after those first 3 drives where he went up, I don't know how this guy hasn't learned from his mistakes yet, but why doesn't he keep trying to apply pressure on the opposing teams? He gets soft. He's like, oh, we got the lead. We're for sure going to win. What are you doing? What are you doing? Not to mention that he made one of the most boneheaded decisions I've almost ever seen from a head coach. I mean, he's made a couple of them, but this Chiefs game in overtime, what the hell is Kyle Shanahan doing? So apparently, some of his team didn't even know the overtime rule in the Chiefs game, and the 49ers elected to take the ball first, which, why would you want to do that? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And then Kyle Shanahan came out and said, oh, well, if we scored a touchdown and then the Chiefs scored a touchdown, then we would get the ball with the ability to win. Because in overtime, now if two teams score a touchdown, then the next team to score wins. Or if two teams get a field goal, then the next team to score wins. So if Kyle Shanahan's mindset was, I want the ball first because after we get a touchdown, then the Chiefs are going to get a touchdown, so then we can score a field goal to win, why the fuck did he kick a field goal? If in the back of his mind, he's saying, oh, the Chiefs could possibly score a touchdown on me, so I want the ball first, why is he not going for a touchdown? On 4th and 4 on the 5-yard line, you decide to kick a field goal, and then you basically say, hey, Patrick Mahomes, go get a touchdown and you win. And then he played soft defense the entire time. That's exactly what he did in the fourth quarter against the Chiefs. And that's don't even get me fucking started on the Falcons Super Bowl, where this idiot just decided to just completely give up the run game. Just decided to say, you know what? I'm not going to run the football anymore. I'm not going to waste time off the clock. Kyle Shanahan, I don't get it. I don't get it. There are just some major flaws in his coaching game, especially in big games. Especially in the Super Bowl and when he's playing up against really good teams. Like I'm showing on screen right now, 1-31 when down by 3 points going into the fourth quarter. That's terrible, dude. That's absolutely terrible. So the 49ers team is built on going up early and bullying a team that's worse than them, and then that entire team is having to go into comeback mode, and they just shut them down, and they rely on other teams to make mistakes because they apply pressure fast, and then they just hold on to that pressure and hold on to that lead. They don't try to continue to apply pressure, and I don't get it. And then when they're down, they don't know how to act. They don't know how to act, or more so I should say Kyle Shanahan. I just don't get how he hasn't learned from his mistakes. I don't get how Kyle Shanahan has not learned from his mistakes. And there's even an argument to go around that Kyle Shanahan gets carried by his team. I'm not necessarily saying that. That's not what I'm saying at all, actually. I think he's a great coach and he's a great offensive mind. But if someone were to make a video talking about how Kyle Shanahan is overrated and he gets carried by his team, I would watch that video and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with what he has to say. He had Matt Ryan, phenomenal quarterback, who had one of his best seasons ever, arguably his second best season ever with Shanahan, and Julio Jones, and the best defense the Falcons have had in the last 10 years. Then look at this 49ers team and how stacked this 49ers team is that he has. Now, obviously, as the coach, he helps elevate the talent. This isn't like basketball. This is football, and he helps elevate the talent, and I very clearly see that. But when it comes to just being a leader, I have question marks, and honestly, I don't think Kyle Shanahan will ever win a Super Bowl. With what I have seen in my own eyes and how when he's in a close game, he can't take that extra step to win that game. And when he just makes boneheaded decisions in the Super Bowl every single year, I don't know, man. There's something wrong with Kyle Shanahan. I don't know if the Super Bowl pressure gets to him or what, but even not in the Super Bowl, even when he's just down, when Kyle Shanahan's down, he can't come back. And those two big flaws of his ability not to come back and then his ability not to keep applying pressure against good teams. Now, there are times where he plays bad teams and he doesn't need to keep applying pressure because the bad teams just make mistakes. But when you're going up against the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes or the Patriots and Tom Brady, you can't just stop applying pressure and play it safe. He plays it safe every single time, and it's come back to bite him in the ass every single time. And that's why I don't trust Kyle Shanahan to win a Super Bowl. So will this 49ers team ever win a Super Bowl as is? I right now don't think so. And who knows, maybe next year they get it done, but as it stands right now, I don't think this 49ers team can win a Super Bowl as is. And I don't think they have the ability to go sign a big free agent to make their team even better. And Al Shanahan, I don't think can get it done as a head coach. But anyways, please leave comments down below, guys. Tell me what you think about this video. Tell me if I'm completely capping, and if you think the 49ers are easily going to run it back next year and win the Super Bowl this time, or if you think I might be onto something. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and peace.